DARC, this is N5IMS.
Thank you. Forgive me, I'm not very good about phonetic things like this. I'm on the call side. Forgive me. Okay? I was wanting to talk with Mr. Tom, the president. Give him a phone call to my home. I text him on the text box. And he's not responded yet. So, I don't know what to do. I had problems with my station, as you might know. Earlier, I was talking, and my keyboard, my transmitter key was stuck, so I had to dislodge the echo link up here. So that's why I was texting all my messages for the past hour and a half to the text box. So if I lose connection, you understand, because like I said, I'm having problems with my station. N5CPK, thanks for responding and instantly. Thank you for the two-way communications.
Welcome. Tom did put a text out there, but if you were having issues, it may have been that it was put out there when you couldn't see it. He said he would give you a call tomorrow. He's got another net in just a few minutes that he has to prepare for, and so he's kind of tied up doing that, so he couldn't respond right away, but he will try and give you a call tomorrow. N5IMS.
Thank you so much I now see the text message. I just did see it. Bringing to my attention. Just did see it. About 2 seconds, like you say. When you said it, text message in my text box, I saw it. Thank you. I was waiting nothing was kind of response. Thank you. Like I say, can you give me your phonetics, please? Over. And beats very slow, about 2 seconds between each phonetics, please.
No problem. Happy to relay when I can. This is November 5, India, Mike, Sierra. Handle here is JJ, and I live in Carrollton.
November 5, Whiskey, Mike. What was your last phonetic, please?
Sign is November 5, India, Mike, Sierra. That's N5IMS.
I copy in November 5, India, Mississippi, Sierra, N5IMS, and what's your handle?
Handle is my initials, which are JJ. That's 2 J's in a row, JJ.
Okay, I see you on the echo link. I see you in Carrollton. Over.
Unfortunately, I'm, trying to help out, but, kind of like Tom, I'm, awful busy doing stuff, so I, generally just monitor the nets because I've, trying to get things done on 2 different computers at the same time. And, when I add the microphone in there, basically nothing happens. You can understand that. Send 5IMS.
Well, I want to say thank you so much for your transmissions coming back with me. Two-way communications, like I say. I want to talk with a two-way communication repeater I guess I was talking with Don Murray a couple days on the phone line. It says, I'm talking through the repeater. I have 2 ears and one mouth. So I'm going to say, I'm going to end by saying, I read a 1 Minute Manager book. You can familiar with that book? And I'm going to say, send me this read, 88 with your wife, give a hug and kiss, with your wife, send me this read and God bless. Send me this read, final, on your final, and thank you for relay. Thank you.
Jay, this is KF5JHA. Just wanted to thank you for your comeback. I was just putting my station back up after taking it apart this morning and taking it with me to Hot Rocks bike race. So thank you very much. I'll be clear and listening.
Well, sure, Chaz. You're much better now. You're pretty well full quieting and fully understood. So you should be able to do well on the net with this situation the way it is now and via IMS.
I need to make myself very clear. If we uplink now, Skynet will be in control of your military.
But you'll be in control of Skynet, right?
That is correct, sir.
Skynet.
Anyone need to use the repeater before we begin the 9 p.m. Skynet? This is Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. My name is Brenda. I'm in DeSoto. I will be your net controlist for this session of the DARC Skynet. Skynet is a weekly net called every Saturday night at 9 p.m. concerning the subject of astronomy. Our purpose is to help amateurs become more familiar with the nighttime and daytime sky, astronomy, and space in general. The net is open to all amateurs interested in this topic, and we encourage your participation, comments, and suggestions for this net. Stations with priority or emergency traffic may enter the net at any time by using the post sign break with your call sign. Is there any emergency or priority traffic? This is a directed net. Please do not transmit without direction from net control. That would be me. And stations are reminded to ID at the end of your transmissions. This weekly net operates on 146.88 megahertz with a PL tone of 110.9. Check-ins via Echolink are also possible using the W5FC-R station ID or Echolink node 37247. Tonight's topics, astronomy charts, pictures, and live audio-video links are available online. Go to W5FC.org right now for the complete list. Remember to tell others about this popular net. All amateur operators are welcome, and you need not be a member of any amateur radio club to participate. This net is 90 minutes long and is structured in several parts. 1. General announcements. 2. Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas events. 3. National Space Society events. 4. Discussion topic for the evening. 5. What's up? 6. Space exploration and space history. 7. Miss Carolyn's constellation of the week. 8. Space launches this week. 9. Recent astronomical discoveries. 10. Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. And 11. Astronomical Q&A. And if there's time, 73 rounds. All amateurs licensed to transmit on this frequency are invited to check in. So we're going to start with low power and short time check-ins. Please come with your call sign name and where you're transmitting from this evening. Go ahead.
Is November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William, and Alan. Short time.
Okay, we have one short time check-in. November 5, Whiskey Oscar India, William. Let's move on to general check-ins. Please come now. This is Kilo India 5, Foxtrot Echo Tango, Estefania, and Wiley.
November 5, Bravo Bravo, Bill in Irving. This is November 5, Alpha Bravo Alpha in Wiley. Andre in Wiley.
Is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, Chaz, and Mesquite.
This is Kilo 5, Alpha, November, Papa, Alan, Dallas.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Zulu Bravo Lima, Bill, Farmers Ranch. Kilo Golf 5, Papa, Mike in Richardson. November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, Suitable, and East Dallas.
Kilo Golf 5, Whiskey Victor Lima, James, and Carrollton.
Niner Victor, Michael in Plano.
This is Kilo Echo 5, India, Charlie, X-ray, Tom in Louisville.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Echo Victor Mike, Tyson in Richardson.
Okay, let's check those out. KI5FET, Stephania, N5BB, Bill, N5ABA, Andre, KF5JHA, Taz, K5ANP, Alan, KF5ZBL, Bill, KG5P, Mike, NT5TM, Tony, KG5WVL, James, WT9V, Michael, KE5ICX, Tom, and KF5EVM, Tyson. All right, let's try for any Echolink people that want to check in, please.
Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey J, near Weatherford.
Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy, and Sherman.
Okay, I got KG5BZWJ and KF5PDS Billy. Okay, any more check-ins from any mode, please come now.
Whiskey 5, Kilo Yankee Zulu in North Carolina.
You got Whiskey 5, Kilo Yankee Zulu, and a little static covered up your name. Could you please come back with that?
That would be Ken.
Oh dear, I missed it again. Could you come with it phonetically?
Kilo Edward. Ken. I don't know the number.
Okay, Ken, welcome to the net. Okay, I guess we'll go ahead and get started. So, does anyone have any general announcements for this evening's net? These can be ham, astronomical, space, or of general interest to licensed hams. So, please come now with those.
Kilo Golf 5, Papa.
KG5P, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, well, there should be an ISS passover going on right about now. It's only about 15 degrees, which is low on the horizon, on the southwest horizon. So it's going to be hard to spot unless you're in a nice open space. Also, the Perseid meteor shower is going to be starting on March 12th. I mean, March 12th. What month is this? August 12th. Yeah, August 12th. And this will be... this is the remnants of Halley's Comet, and this is the meteor shower of the year. should be visible in Dallas, but if you're out in a dark spot, it'd be a lot nicer. They usually expect to get about maybe 100 or so meteors an hour. So that's the Perseids. Back to that KG5P.
All right, thank you. The AMSAT Radio Amateur Satellite Group has 2 nets available to Dallas residents. On Tuesday evenings at 8 p.m. Central, you'll need Echolink installed and be registered. You can find the net under Groups and AMSAT. Also, a live audio link is available to their website, which is amsatnet.com. This net originates in Houston. The Dallas AMSAT net Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas, is every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on the Arlington repeater, 147.14 megahertz TL 110.9, positive offset. Okay, I think we're going to skip all the nets. Everybody knows those, and they're on the website anyway. Except we want to talk about the one right after this one. Something we call Afterglow Movie Net, where we somebody chooses a fine film every week for us to watch, and then we have a discussion group. It's kind of like a book club, but not nearly so classy. And tonight, our fine film is War Between the Planets. I'm going to call on Tom, KE5ICX, to please give us a rundown on this film. Go ahead, Tom.
Thank you, Ms. Brenda. This is KE5ICX, and I have been nominated for an award for most accurate description of movies ever. So here we go. Tonight's Afterglow info is, please write this down, it may be in code. There was just too much negative radiation on the Alpha 2 space station. Captain Tice, not twice, not thrice, and his crew knew and were sent to investigate. They arrive at the Alpha 2. The crew grousing about all the negative energy, bathroom toilets stocked up with toilet paper. It was intentional. Others were milling about smoking in hallways where it clearly said, "No smoking!" It was obvious something was horribly wrong. Meanwhile on Earth, Captain Dubois was attempting to break into the Advanced Sciences nuclear reactor. He'd left his nuclear ignition keys inside. The reactor was running and no one could shut it off. A subordinate brought him to the Space Command The subordinate brought him the Space Command issued coat hanger. Join us for one of the more convoluted, that's all in capital letters, SF offerings of the century, in this case from the year 2050. Join us for the Afterglow movie, War Between the Planets from 1966, tonight at 10:30 p.m. Be there or be lost in space. Da-da-dum. KE5ICX, back to net control.
Thank you very much, Tom. And for all of you that don't think that sounds like fun, it really is. We have a great time. It's one of the high points of my week. And you can keep up with all of the ARC events, nets, activities by going to the club website, W5FC.org. Okay, any additional check-ins? Please come down.
Foxtrot 5, India Victor Juliet, Justin, White Oak.
Okay, we got KF5IVJ Justin. Welcome to the net. Okay, let's see what's next. The Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas, where and when you can look through a telescope. Does anybody have information on this?
KF5JHA.
KF5JHA. Go ahead, Chaz.
the net. This is KF5JHA Chaz. Just want to let you know that the Texas Astronomical Society of Dallas has meetings on the fourth Friday of each month, at least for 10 months anyway. You know, I've said this: January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. But in November, it's on the third Friday because the fourth Friday would get in the way of Thanksgiving. And in December, we usually have some sort of activity other than that. So anyway, for 10 months out of the year, they meet at the Science and Learning Center on the University of Texas at Dallas campus. That's located on Campbell Road. Park instructions can be found on the Texas Astronomical website, texasastro.org. Make sure you park in the right place or you might get a ticket. Also, on Saturday evenings, the first, second, third, and fourth Saturday evenings, the Texas Astronomical Society has star parties set up throughout the Metroplex. So on the first Saturday of each month, it's the Stargazer Star Party in Spring Park in Garland. And on the second Saturday is the Frisco Star Fest at the Frisco Commons Park in Frisco. That would be tonight. Let me see. I don't know if they can make it to the repeater from there, but if there's... That's a ham radio operator at Frisco Commons Park. Would you like to come now and let us know what you're doing there? Come now with your call sign if you are there. I didn't think so. Okay, on the third Saturday of each month, it's the Cedar Hill Stock Bolt at J.W. Williams Park in Cedar Hill. And on the fourth Saturday, hey, we have a ham that actually runs that one. That would be Glenn, former president of the Texas Astronomical Society. Stars on the Rock on the fourth Saturday in the Shores Park in Rockwall. Happens on the fourth Saturday. Fifth Saturdays actually happen at the DARC Skynet in Oklahoma for the Texas Astronomical Society, and especially newbies to go up there then. Okay, does anybody need any fills or have any questions about the Texas Astronomical Society? Come now with your call sign if you do. Much, everyone. Thank you, Brenda. Back to net control. KF5JHA.
Thank you very much, Taz. All right, National Space Society events and activities. N5BB. Bill, do you have anything?
Yes, I do. This is N5BB. The National Space Society August chapter meeting for the North Texas chapter will be tomorrow, Sunday, August the 11th, at Spring Creek Barbecue in Irving. This is at the southwest corner of Beltline and Highway 183, directly across from Irving Mall, and the meeting starts at 3:30 p.m. The meeting topic will be Professor John Hansen from the University of Texas at Dallas. He worked on a very long project, several years, to digitize and then transcribe the Apollo 11 recordings. So these are analog recordings that were made of the Apollo 11 mission and some other Apollo missions. They then converted a lot of this after digitizing these tapes, these very old tapes, 50 years old. They then made a lot of efforts into transcribing these into text. The purpose, his main purpose originally, was some studies he was doing on communication and control. So he had interest in how people work together in teams to solve problems, and he decided that one of the best things to research was how the Apollo 11 team worked together to solve their problems, the first lunar landing. So, if you'd like to learn about this very interesting project, which took, I believe, 5 years, come to the National Space Society of North Texas meeting tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 p.m. in Irving. This is N5BB. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chaz. Do we have any more check-ins? Okay, let's move into our featured presentation by myself. Today we're going to talk about Telstar satellites. When I was at Moon Day, I was quite fascinated with the little CubeSat that the people at the AMSAT table next to us had on display, and I played with it for a while, and I thought, this is really cool. So I was wondering about the early satellites that the United States put up. Of course, Sputnik in 1957 was a horrible blow to us, that the Russians beat us and possibly could control the world through space. We followed very quickly after that with Explorer 1, which was, I think, in 1958, maybe early 58. And but in 1962, we put up our first communications satellite named Telstar. There have been many Telstars. The first one was launched, Telstar 1, on top of Ford's Delta rocket on July 10th, 1962. It successfully relayed through space the first television pictures, telephone calls, and telegraph images, provided the first live transatlantic television feed. Telstar 2 launched May 7th, 1963. Telstar 1 and 2, though no longer functional, still orbit the Earth. And if you're not familiar with this, just look at the picture. If you don't see it on the screen, then go look it up, because it is just, to me, it is a beautiful thing. It's like a work of art, and the panels on it are blue, and I just think it's a beautiful piece of science myself. Belonging to AT&T, the original Telstar was part of a multinational agreement among AT&T, Bell Telephone Laboratories, NASA, GPO, that's the United Kingdom, and the National PTT from France to develop satellite communications over the Atlantic Ocean. Bell Labs held a contract with NASA, paying the agency for each launch independent of success. 6 ground stations were built to communicate with Telstar, 1 each in the U.S., France, UK, Germany, Canada, and Italy. The American ground station, built by Bell Labs, was Andover Earth Station in Andover, Maine. The main British ground station was at Goonhilly Downs in southwestern England. The BBC, as international coordinator, used this location. The Standards 525/405 conversion equipment filling a was researched and developed by the BBC and located in the BBC Television Centre, London. The French ground station was at, I can't pronounce this, Boudou, I'll butcher that, in northwestern France. The Canadian ground station was at Charleston, Nova Scotia. The German ground station was at Raisting in Bavaria. The Italian ground station was at Fucino in Abruzzo. The satellite was built by a team at Bell Telephone Laboratories, and I'm not going to rattle off names, but it is roughly spherical, is 34.5 inches in length, and weighs about 170 pounds. Its dimensions were limited by what would fit on one of NASA's Delta rockets. Telstar was spin stabilized, and its outer surface was covered with solar cells capable of generating 14 watts of electrical power. The original Telstar had a single innovative transponder that could relay data, a single television channel, or multiplexed telephone circuits. Since the spacecraft spun, it required an array of antennas around its equator for uninterrupted microwave communication with Earth. An omnidirectional array of small cavity antenna elements around the satellite's equator received 6 gigahertz microwave signals to relay back to ground stations. The transporter converted the frequency to 4 gigahertz, amplified the signals in traveling wave tubes, and retransmitted them omnidirectionally via the adjacent array of larger box-shaped cavities. The prominent helical antenna received telecommands from a ground station. Launched by NASA aboard a Delta rocket from Cape Canaveral on July 10, 1962, Telstar 1 was the first privately sponsored space launch. A medium-altitude satellite, Telstar was placed in an elliptical orbit, completed once every 2 hours and 37 minutes, inclined at an angle of approximately 45 degrees to the equator with perigee at 952 kilometers from Earth, and apogee about 5,933 kilometers from Earth. This is in contrast to the 1965 early bird Intelsat and subsequent satellites that travel in circular geostationary orbits. Due to its non-geosynchronous orbit, similar to a Molniya orbit, Telstar's availability of transatlantic signals is limited to the 20 minutes in each 2.5-hour orbit when the satellite passed over the Atlantic Ocean. Ground antennas had to track the satellite with a pointing error of less than 0.06 degrees as it moved across the sky at up to 1.5 degrees per second. Since the transmitters and receivers on Telstar were not powerful, ground antennas had to be huge. So laboratory engineers designed a large horizontal conical horn antenna with a parabolic reflector at its mouth that redirected the beam. This particular design had very low side lobes and thus made very low receiving system noise temperatures possible. The aperture of the antennas was 3,600 square feet. The antennas were 177 feet long and weighed 380 short tons. That's 340,000 kilograms. Morimi Awami and Jan Norton of Bell were in charge of designing and building the electrical portions of the azimuth elevation system that steered the antennas. The antennas were housed in radomes the size of a 14-story office building. Two of these antennas were used, one in Andover, Maine, and the other in France. The GPO antenna at Goonhilly Downs in Great Britain was a conventional 26-meter diameter paraboloid. Telstar 1 relayed its first and non-public television pictures, a flag outside Andover Earth Station, to Plumur Budo on July 11, 1962. Almost 2 weeks later, on July 23rd, it relayed the first publicly available live transatlantic television signal. The broadcast was shown in Europe by Eurovision and in North America by NBC, CBS, ABC, and the CBC. First public broadcast featured CBS's Walter Cronkite and NBC's Chet Huntley in New York and BBC's Richard Dumbleby in Brussels. First pictures were the Statue of Liberty in New York and the Eiffel Tower in Paris. First broadcast was to have been remarked by President John F. Kennedy, but the signal was acquired before the president was ready, so engineers filled the lead-in time with a short segment of the televised game between the Philadelphia Phillies and the Chicago Cubs at Wrigley Field. The batter, Tony Taylor, was seeing seen hitting a ball pitched by Carl Coons to the right fielder George Altman. From there, the video switched first to Washington, D.C., then to Cape Canaveral, Florida, to the Seattle World's Fair, then to Quebec, and finally to Stratford, Ontario. The Washington segment included remarks by President Kennedy talking about the price of the American dollar, which was causing concern in Europe. When Kennedy denied that the U.S. would devalue the dollar, it immediately strengthened on world markets. Cronkite later said that we all glimpsed something of the true power of the instrument we had wrought. That evening, Telstar 1 also relayed the first satellite telephone call between U.S. Vice President Lyndon Johnson and the chairman of AT&T, Frederick Capel. It successfully transmitted faxes, data, and both live and tape television, including the first live transmission of television across an ocean from Andover, Maine to Goonhilly Downs and to France. An passive satellite, Echo 1, had been used to reflect and direct communication signals 2 years earlier in 1960. In August of 62, Telstar 1 became the first satellite used to synchronize time between two continents, bringing the UK and the United States to within 1 millisecond of each other. Previous efforts were only accurate to 2,000 milliseconds. Telstar 1 satellite also relayed computer data between two IBM 1401 mainframe computers. The test, performed on October 25, 1962, sent a message from a transmitting computer in Endicott, New York, to the Earth Station in Andover, Maine. The message was relayed to the Earth Station in France, where it was decoded by a second IBM 1401 in France. Telstar 1, which had ushered in a new age of the commercial use of technology, became a victim of technology during the Cold War. The day before Telstar 1 launched, a U.S. high-altitude nuclear bomb called Starfish Prime had energized the Earth's Van Allen belt, where Telstar 1 went into orbit. The vast increase in a radiation belt, combined with subsequent high-altitude blasts, including a Soviet test in November, overwhelmed Telstar's fragile transistors. It went out of service in November 1962 after handling over 400 telephone, telegraph, facsimile, and television transmissions. It was restarted by a workaround in early January 1963. The additional radiation associated with its return to full sunlight once again caused a transistor failure, this time irreparably, and Telstar 1 went out of service on February 22, 1963. Experiments continued, and by 64, two Telstars, two relay units, and two CENTCOM units from Hughes aircraft had successfully operated in space. CENTCOM 2 was the first geosynchronous satellite, and a successor, CENTCOM 3, broadcast pictures from the 1964 Summer Olympics in Tokyo. The first commercial geosynchronous satellite was Intelsat 1, Early Bird, launched in 1965. Telstar was considered a technical success. According to the U.S. Information Agency poll, Telstar was better known in Great Britain than Sputnik had been in 1957. So there have been many Telstars. Telstar 1 and 2 are both out of service now, but all of the others are still in service, and they have all, it's not just sequential. There's the next ones was 301, 302, 303, and so on. And the latest 19V as in Victor was launched July 22nd, 2018. So they're still chunking them up there. And if you were around in 1962, there was a delightful musical piece by the Tornadoes, and it was entitled Telstar, and it was about the satellite. It was a big hit on the radio, and it's a catchy tune. If you've never heard it, you need to go to YouTube and look it up. But look at the one with the Tornadoes. It's an instrumental. There were some others later that were recorded with some insipid lyrics. But this is the original and, in my opinion, the best. It was produced and written by Joe Meek, who was a pioneer in electronic music, and the electronic music is the term of this piece of music. Okay, I think that's it for Telstar. So, any new check-ins, please come now.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom and Irving.
Okay, November 5, HYP Tom, welcome to the net. Okay, let's see what is next. All right, what's up? Taz. Excuse me. KF5JHA, Taz. I'm going to call you now for your what's up column. Please go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, this is Chaz, KF5JHA. My degree is in astrophysics. I work at Brookhaven Community College, and we call this segment of Skynet, What's Up? My alarm clock went off before 5 a.m. this morning in order for me to participate in the Hot Rocks bike race. Last year, Hot Rocks suffered from low attendance because of drizzle of rain throughout the morning, which would be a welcome thing for today. And even the most dedicated riders stayed home last year. I know, I talked to some of them today. But today the weather was a typical hot August morning as expected. Bikers had a choice of 12, 24, 30, and 54 miles. I was assigned duty to the rest stop located at the halfway point of the 54-mile route. In other words, the furthest out. I know many of you volunteer for various things like this. I usually volunteer for the Plano Balloon Festival every year, in addition to the Turkey Trot, and a few times I've volunteered for the Life Walk and the Dallas Marathon, formerly called the White Rock Marathon, and a few triathlons and parades. If you've not participated in these events, you might want to consider. These events are usually fundraisers for the community and help us, the hams, to get our emergency operation skills some practice. For you to use some new equipment or use your current equipment in a different way. Today, I used a push-up J-pole antenna in order to get a cleaner signal back to the repeater that we're using. It was hot, but it was fun. Let's get to some important stuff. On August the 7th, the moon was at first quarter phase. Just last night, August the 9th, the moon and Jupiter were in conjunction to each other. In other words, they were really close together. Tonight, the moon is a waxing gibbous phase, and the moon's in between Jupiter and Saturn in the southern evening sky. On the night of August the 11th, 12th, the moon will be in conjunction with Saturn, and so on August the 15th, the moon will be full. On August the 17th, the moon will be at apogee at a distance of 406,244 kilometers. Now, this reminds me of something. How did Luke Skywalker get around the forest moon of Endor? Waited long enough? What? I am Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha, and this is Skynet. I've been telling you that the last half of the year is really the time for meteor observing, and the Perseid meteor shower peaks in just a couple of nights. This year, the Perseids peak on the night of August the 12th through 13th. Unfortunately, the moon is just a couple days away from full during that peak. But even now, you can see some of those meteors in the sky. I've seen a few over the last couple of weeks. Usually, the best time to see meteors are just after midnight and before morning twilight. This is because this is the side of the Earth that's running into the leftover clouds of debris from comets and asteroids. If The moon wasn't interfering with the meteor shower with its bright glow. You might be able to see a meteor every minute during the Perseid meteor shower, but this year you might only see a dozen or so of the bright meteors. Why are they called the Perseid meteor shower? Perseus is one of the 88 constellations in the sky. Meteors seem to originate from the constellation of Perseus. This origination location is called the radiant point of the meteor shower. But why do meteors appear to come from that same point, that radiant point? Well, in Ohio, before September the 8th, 1966, we talked about driving through a snowfall. When you drive through a snowfall, then all of the snowflakes seem to be coming from a single point above and in front of your car. Do the snowflakes really do that? Of course not. If you stop the car, the snow looks like it's falling from overhead. So this effect is the result of the movement of the car. The same is true for meteor showers. The moving object is the Earth, and the meteors look like they come from a point in space in the general direction of where the Earth is traveling. Of course, the movement of the meteor stream has an effect on the sky location too, but most of the time the radiant point is located somewhere in the morning sky in a constellation. Now, where do meteors come from? I already mentioned comets and asteroids. They leave a trail of debris as they travel through the solar system. If this debris stream happens to intersect with the orbit of the Earth, voila, a meteor shower. So, would comet cleanser be used during a meteor shower? Well, I hate to contradict you, Mike, but the Perseid meteor shower is not the result of Comet Halley. It's actually the result of Swift-Tuttle comet. Comet Halley actually results in two different meteor showers. That's the Orionid meteor shower that happens in October, around October the 21st, 22nd this year, and the Eta Aquariid meteor shower that peaked back in May on May the 6th and 7th. Those are the two meteor showers that are associated with Comet Halley. But this one, the Perseid meteor shower, is a result of Swift-Tuttle comet. Most of the meteors are specks of dust that run into the Earth's atmosphere so hard, so fast, that the friction is so great that they burn up. It's like you rubbing your hands together. Go ahead, rub your hands together. Slowly, your hands will warm up. If you rub them faster and faster, no, stop. I don't want you to get blisters. But I guess you could say the meteors get rubbed out. The debris is larger from these objects, sometimes the size of your fist. An object that size could cause a bright meteor in the sky. And extremely bright meteors in the sky are called fireballs or bolides. So when the future meteor is in outer space, we call it a meteoroid, floating in outer space out in our solar system. When the particle runs into our atmosphere, we call it a meteor. That's the streak of light you see in the sky. If it does not burn up all the way in the atmosphere and part of it lands on the ground, we call it a meteorite. So meteoroid out in outer space, meteor in the sky, meteorite on the Earth. TCU has a wonderful meteorite collection, and the museum has had a booth at Moon Day for the last several years. And if you didn't know this, there's a meteor crater in Odessa that you can visit sometime soon. If you go that direction, go west. So, details about these meteor showers can be found at the International Meteor Organization website, imo.net, or the American Meteor Society website, imsmeteors.org. Oh, okay. And why did I say before September the 8th, 1966 was when we talked about driving through snow to describe meteor showers? Well, that's because on September the 8th, 1966 was when Star Trek first aired on TV. And from that point onwards, we call it the Star Trek effect. Seeing the stars passing around the Enterprise seeming to come from a single point out in front of them, just like a meteor shower. I am KF5JHA, and this is Skynet. Nice thing, over the next few mornings you might be able to spot Mercury low in the eastern morning sky, just below the stars Castor and Pollux. Now, before I end, do any of you out there in Radio Land have any questions or need a fill on any information, or do you just have a general astronomy question? I don't know everything, but I might know the answer to your question. Come now with your call sign if you have a question. So, as the moon will wane during the last half of August, so do these words. Until next week, keep on looking up so you know what's up. And this is Chaz, Kilo Foxtrot 5, Juliet Hotel Alpha. Back to Brenda, our net control. Thank you.
Thank you, Chaz. Okay, any more check-ins at this point? Okay, next up is space exploration and space history. And call on Tony NT5TM to give a report. Please go ahead.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's been a very fun week in space history. This week we did have one very exciting space birthday. August 5th, 1930 was the birth of Neil Armstrong. Armstrong was, of course, the first person to step onto the surface of the moon, but he did more than that. As commander of Gemini 8, he was a member of the first crew to rendezvous and dock in space. In fact, it was after the famous Gemini 8 flight that he became a celebrity because the spacecraft became disabled. It spun out of control. A maneuvering thruster it got locked in the arm position. It was about to cause the astronauts to black out when he turned off the system, used a backup, and brought the crew back to Earth safely. There's plenty of other fun stuff in this week in space history. On August 4th, 2007, we had the launch of Phoenix. Not the city, the Mars lander. This was named the Phoenix in part because it was based on surface hardware from the canceled Mars Surveyor 2001 and the failed Mars polar lander. I'm being told my audio sounds a little hot. Chaz, is this better? Sounds a little bit better, but you can still back off a little bit more. KF5JHA. I'll do my best. I'm using a different microphone setup than I usually do. The Phoenix mission had two goals. One was the study of geologic water, which was considered at this point the key to unlocking the story of past climate on Mars. NASA had tried to look for life directly with the Viking probes. Their ambitious chemical experiments were very inconclusive, so they decided to follow the approach of follow the water. So that was Phoenix's first goal. The second was to really see, was this area ever habitable for microbes, to look at the boundary between the polar ice caps and the Martian soil. The mission was a big success. It was the first successful landing in a Martian polar region. On August 6, 1969, Mariner 7 flew by Mars. This was a paired mission. They used to often launch spacecraft in pairs because earlier rockets were less reliable. Mariner 6 and 7 both flew past Mars in 1969. They returned 143 pictures, and 55 of them were close-ups. They also studied the Martian atmosphere and measured its chemical composition. studied the chemical composition of the Martian atmosphere, although it was meant to be a lander, was Mars 6, a Soviet spacecraft that launched on August 5th, 1973. Mars 6 was meant to land on Mars. It was launched on August 5th, reached Mars on March 12th with 74, separated from its spacecraft bus and entered the atmosphere. Its parachute opened, its descent began to slow, it began to fire its retro rockets, and then it disappeared and was never heard from again. Earlier you heard Brenda mention how Telstar 1 got fried by radiation. Well, that had happened to Mars 6 too. Unfortunately, they didn't use radiation-hardened computer chips, and so most of what little data it returned was unreadable because the circuits had been damaged by radiation in deep space. Much happier note, August 5th, 2011 marked the launch of Juno. This is an interesting probe that's still up there orbiting the intense radiation environment of Jupiter. You've heard Kelly talk about it too. Juno is a NASA space probe orbiting the planet Jupiter. It's the second spacecraft to do so. Its primary mission is to pull back the veil of Jupiter and learn more about its interior structure by means of magnetic studies, radio science, and chemical measurements. However, it features the famous Juno cam, a public outreach camera. This is a rare thing. Every gram on a spacecraft counts, but the Juno cam was really just put there to take beautiful pictures. It's a rare thing. Tom's pictures, you can see some enormous solar panels. Due to a plutonium shortage, Juno did not have the radioisotope thermal generators that other deep space probes use. Instead, it has giant solar panels. It's the only spacecraft to fly to the outer solar system by solar power. The Juno mission repeatedly flew by the Earth as part of its orbital trajectory, and as part of its testing, radio amateurs had the opportunity to say hello to Juno by generating a very slow CW test transmission measured by the probe's radio science instruments. August 6, 1961 marks the launch of Vostok 2. This was the second orbital Soviet space mission, and just as the launch of Yuri Gagarin frightened us, the launch of cosmonaut German Titov was, well, pretty exciting too. They knocked the pants off of us. He orbited the Earth for almost a full day. In fact, Titov's number of orbits and flight time would not be surpassed by an American until Gordo Cooper flew on Mercury Atlas 9 in 1963. The flight was an almost perfect success with only some small difficulties. Unlike Yuri Gagarin, he was allowed to take manual control of the spacecraft for part of the mission, and the Soviet Union admitted that he ejected from his spacecraft before it landed. They portrayed this as an experiment and didn't admit that it was actually what they planned. When my reference material was written back in 2017, Titov was the youngest person to reach space. He was not yet 26 years old when launched. Now, on August 8, 1978, something important in the history of science fiction movies took place. We launched Lilu Dallas Multipass into space. Multipass. I mean, multi-probe. Pioneer Venus Multipass. Multi-probe. This was one of a pair of Pioneer Venus missions launched in 1978. The other was the Pioneer Venus Orbiter, which, guess what, orbited Venus. It was an early radar mapper that measured the position of the surface by peering through the clouds with radar. The Pioneer Venus Multiprobe mission was to sample the composition of the Venus atmosphere in a number of different places all at the same time. There was a spacecraft bus to get the probes there, and then 4 probes. The geniuses at NASA's PR office gave these probes some exciting names. The biggest one was named the Large Probe. The others were the North Probe, which went up near the North Pole, the Day Probe, which landed in the middle of the day side, and the Night Probe, which landed, guess what, on the night side of Venus. that even though the probes had no parachutes or other braking devices that were intended to bring them down safely to the surface, they just had little parachutes meant to slow them down a little to get more science. The day probe actually survived impact and sent radio signals back to Earth for over an hour. I guess here I passed up my chance to include a picture of a rock band. August 8th, 2001, or maybe the Wrath of Khan, was the launch of Genesis, but not the band and not the device. This was a space probe by NASA meant to directly sample the solar wind and return the particles back to Earth. It was very successful in its launch, orbit, and sample collection, but unfortunately, because a switch was wired backwards, it did not open its parachute when it was time to land. It smashed into the Utah desert at high speed. Eventually, scientists did figure out how to recover some of the tiny particles from the smashed re-entry capsule, but it was a difficult challenge. Let me quickly mention here, Luna 24 was a Soviet space probe launched on August 9th, 1976. This was a mission to return a tiny sample from the lunar surface. It brought back 170 grams. It was their third successful sample return mission. It was also the last spacecraft to land on the moon for over 35 years. It was 37 years later when China's Chang'e 3 landed on December 14th, 2013. Last but not least was Lunar Orbiter 1, launched August 10th, 1966. That was today, back in 1966. The Lunar Orbiter program was meant to carefully measure the shape and mass distribution of the moon because the moon is lumpy and orbiting it is a little difficult. They were also meant to collect very high-resolution pictures of the Apollo landing sites. The probe was a big success, but let me tell you, it was complicated. They had to process and develop big, huge rolls of film on board. Yes, film. TV resolution wasn't good enough. They then had to transmit these pictures back to Earth where they were displayed on a TV screen, which was then filmed with a motion picture camera. The films were cut up with razor blades and glued back together to make pictures. The Lunar Orbiter took some really amazing pictures, including the first ever Earthrise, the first view of the moon, Earth from the moon. But the early pictures in the 60s were really, frankly, pretty ugly. They had a lot of resolution, but were hard to look at because it was all this film strip stuff stuck together with super glue. We'll talk more about that on a future net, but the neatest thing is NASA did keep the tapes, and a team of hard-working volunteers found old documents and microfilm and found old tape drives from somebody's garage, and they were able to play back these tapes and recover the images using a computer. And let me tell you, the new images recovered directly from the tapes have about 4 times the resolution of the old TV camera film strip ones from the 60s. It's not only extra beautiful, but it's scientifically important because by comparing these high-res pictures with new high-res pictures taken by the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, we can measure how many meteors are hitting the moon and how fast its surface is changing. Well, it was a really busy week in space history. Thank you very much for listening. This is NT5PM.
Thank you, Tony. Do we have any more check-ins?
G5P recheck.
KG5P, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Brenda. Yeah, I was having some antenna problems. Actually, they were feedline problems. One of the things I was going to mention, I just posted there's 2 versions of Telstar. One was by the tornadoes that you mentioned, and the one that I remember was the Ventures. And I posted those on the Skynet webpage, so you might want to take a look at those. Pretty cool music. And also, I had a question for Chaz, if he's still there. KG5P? Chaz, you there?
Mission from Nat? Yes, I'm still here.
Oh, okay. Well, I want to make sure we have permission. Okay, Chaz, you're right about Halley's Comet. You know, all these meteor showers, they all look the same to me. The Halley's Comet was associated with the Aquarius meteor shower is associated with Halley, but you're right about the Swift tunnel. See, I knew all that stuff. I just slept a few times. Also, I have a question for you, Chaz.
Ed, Mike, this is KF5JHA.
Okay, Chaz, thank you. Okay, here's the question. Why did Mars have to repeat the second grade? Why did Mars have to repeat the second grade?
Say he planned it that way. Planned it that way? No, I don't know. Go ahead, Mike.
Because he was in retrograde, KG5P.
Okay, let's get this thing back on track. Next is Miss Constellation of the Week. Mike, KG5P, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Brenda, again. Actually, what I decided to do is sort of put Carolyn's Constellation of the Week on hold. There's plenty of constellations out there, but I do plan to continue it, you know, in the tradition of Carolyn. But what I'd like to talk about tonight is a book I read by Michio Kaku, and this book is called The Future of Humanity, Terraforming Mars, Interstellar Travel, Immortality, and Our Destiny Beyond Earth. And what I'd like to do is share some of the stuff that was in Chapter 4, at least as much as I have time for. Okay, this is about Elon Musk, who is, I don't think people really appreciate what he's doing. So I wanted to talk a little bit about Elon Musk. Okay. And this is from Michio Kaku's book. Elon Musk is a bit of a maverick. He's an entrepreneur with a cosmic mission, which is to build rockets that will someday take us to Mars. Tsiolkovsky, Goddard, and von Braun all dreamed of going to Mars, but Musk may actually do it. In the process, he's breaking all the rules of the game. He fell in love with the space program as a child, growing up in South Africa, and even built a rocket on his own. His father, an engineer, encouraged his interests. Early on, Musk concluded that the risk of human extinction could only be avoided by reaching for the stars. And so he decided that one of his goals would be making life multiplanetary, a theme that has guided his entire career. In addition to rocketry, he was compelled by two other passions, computers and business. He was programming at the age of 10 and sold his first video game called Blaster for $500 at the age of 12. By the way, this wasn't in the book, but he also wrote Minecraft. My grandson, unless he's moved on to something else, he used to play that a lot. Minecraft, you've probably seen it. He was restless and hoped one day to move to America when he was 7, and when he was 17, he immigrated to Canada on his own. By the time he received his bachelor's degree in physics from the University of Pennsylvania, he was torn between two possible careers. One path led to the life of a physicist or engineer, designing rockets and other high-tech devices. The other led to business and the use of his computer skills to amass a fortune, which would give him the means to bankroll his vision privately. It came to a head when he began his PhD studies at Stanford University in 1995 in applied physics. After spending just 2 days in the program, he abruptly dropped out and plunged into the world of internet startups. He borrowed $28,000 and founded a software company that produced an online city guide for the newspaper publishing industry. He sold sold that to Compaq for $341 million 4 years later. He netted $22 million from that sale and immediately plowed the profits into a new company called X.com, which would evolve into PayPal. In 2002, eBay bought PayPal for $1.5 billion, from which Musk received his $165 million. Flush with cash, he harnessed these funds to fulfill his dreams, creating SpaceX and Tesla Motors. At one point, he invested 90% of his entire net worth in these two companies. Unlike other aerospace companies which built rockets based on known technology, SpaceX pioneered a revolutionary design for a reusable rocket. Musk's goal was to reduce the cost of space travel by a factor of 10 by reusing the booster, which is normally discarded after each launch. Almost from scratch, Musk developed the Falcon, named after the Millennium Falcon from Star Wars, which he would boost a space module called the Dragon, named after Puff the Magic Dragon, into outer space. In 2012, SpaceX Falcon rocket made history by being the first commercial rocket to reach the International Space Station. It also became the first rocket to land successfully back on Earth after an orbital flight. His first wife, Justine, says, "I'd like to compare him to the Terminator. He just sets his program and just, well, not stop." Sounds like the Energizer Bunny to me. But. Okay, in 2017, he scored another major victory when he successfully relaunched a used booster rocket. The previously launched rocket had landed back on its launch pad, had been cleaned up and serviced, and was sent up a second time. Reusability may revolutionize the economics of space travel. Think of the used car market. After World War II, cars were still out of reach for many people, especially GIs and the young. The used car industry enabled average consumers to purchase cars, and this changed everything, including our lifestyles and social interactions. Today, in the United States, about 40 million used cars are sold every year, which is about 2.2 times the number of new cars sold. In the same way, Musk hopes that his Falcon rocket will transform the aerospace market and allow rocket prices to plunge. Most organizations will not care if the rocket that sends a satellite into outer space is brand new or previously used. They will opt for the cheapest, most reliable method. This is KG5P. The reusable rocket was a milestone, but Musk shocked audiences when he laid out the details of his ambitious plans to reach Mars. Okay, now this book was published in 2018, and so it was probably written before that sometime. So he expects to send an unmanned mission to Mars in 2018. Well, obviously that didn't happen, but who cares? Followed by a second manned mission in 2024, beating NASA by about a decade. His ultimate aim is to establish not just an outpost, but a whole city on Mars. He imagines sending a fleet of 1,000 modified Falcon rockets, each carrying 100 colonists to create the first settlement on the Red Planet. The keys to Musk's plan are the dramatically falling costs of space travel and new innovations. Calculations of the price of a Mars mission usually range between 400 and 500 billion, but Musk estimates that he can create and launch the first Mars rocket for only 10 billion. At first, tickets to Mars would be expensive, but they would eventually drop to about $200,000 per person round trip because of the falling price of space travel. This is comparable to the $200,000 necessary to ride just 70 miles above the Earth on Virgin Galactic Spaceship 2, or the 20 to 40 million estimated price of a trip to the International Space Station aboard a Russian rocket. Musk's proposed rocket system was originally called the Mars Colonial Transporter, but he renamed it the Interplanetary Transport System because, as he said, the system really gives you freedom to go anywhere you want in the greater solar system. His long-term vision is to build a network that would connect the planets as the railroad cities. This is KG5P. Musk sees potential for collaboration with other parts of his multi-billion-dollar empire. Tesla has developed an advanced version of the fully electric car, and Musk is heavily invested in solar energy, which would be the primary source of power for any Martian outpost. Therefore, Musk is in an ideal position to supply the electrical machinery and solar arrays required to advance a Mars colony. NASA is painfully slow and sluggish. Entrepreneurs believe they can introduce fresh, innovative ideas and techniques quickly. There's a silly notion that failure is not an option at NASA. Musk said, failure is an option here at SpaceX. If things are not failing, then you're not innovating enough. Musk is perhaps the contemporary face of the space program. Brash, fearless, iconoclastic, in addition to being innovative and smart. He's a new kind of rocket scientist, the entrepreneur, billionaire scientist. He's often compared to Tony Stark, the alter ego of Iron Man, a suave industrialist and inventor who's at home with business tycoons and engineers alike. As a matter of fact, part of the first sequel to Iron Man was filmed at the SpaceX headquarters in Los Angeles. When visitors drive up to SpaceX, they are greeted with a life-size statue of Tony Stark in his Iron Man suit. Musk even influenced a space-themed runway collection at a New York Fashion Week by menswear designer Nick Graham, who explained, Mars is the new black. It's incredibly top of the mind trending in terms of everyone's ambitions. The idea was to show this at the fall 2025 collection based on the year Elon Musk wants to send up his first people to Mars. Summed his philosophy by saying, I really don't have any other motivation for personally accumulating assets except to be able to make the biggest contribution that I can make. That is to make life interplanetary. Peter Diamandis of the X Prize has said there's a much bigger driver here than just profitability. Musk's vision is intoxicating and powerful. So that's the end. So if you're interested in that, I can continue with some other portions of this book. So back to net, this is KG5P.
Okay, thank you, Mike. We have a little bit of change of venue here. Well, not change of venue, but I normally pick an article or two to read, but Tom substituted an article because it's a really good one, and my computer won't let me see it. So I've asked Ken to read it, and this is what's going on in space news this week, astronomical discoveries. So KE5ICX, if you would please read the article for us.
Right, hopefully I can do this correctly. I don't know if I had a wrong link or whatever here, but a new NASA portrait of Jupiter reveals its disappearing great red spot in unprecedented detail. This comes from yesterday from, Business Insider, and this is what they say. A new NASA portrait immortalizes a dying star on Jupiter's surface. The Hubble Space Telescope captures annual snapshots of our solar system's gas giant planets, and NASA just published the latest set. The image of Jupiter stands out, however, since it shows the giant red spot in the clouds in Jupiter's turbulent atmosphere in unprecedented color. The giant red spot is an ancient storm that's now about the size of Earth, but when scientists first spotted it in the 1800s, it was 4 times bigger. Those images help scientists keep track of storms, winds, and clouds on Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and on Neptune. The Earth's orbiting telescope snapped a new image of Jupiter when the planet was about 400 million miles from Earth and directly opposite the Sun. That's why the picture could be rendered in such clear color. Oh, let's see here. I'm seeing little bits and pieces of things here. Hold on. Well, that's. I guess I'm going to have to do that. I've got. I think there was a larger article in all of this, but I'm not able to do it. Yeah, it won't let me read any more to the article. So I'll leave it at that. You can read more about this and Jupiter's shrinking red spot. Just Google it and you'll find it. I suppose I could do the same thing, but for some reason I don't have the full article. So, Brenda, I feel your pain on this one. I can't give you any more than what I got right now on this particular article. So, back to you, Net Control, KE5ICX.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Yeah, well, this is a big news story. We're going to hear more about this because the red spot might go away within 20 years, and I might even still be alive. And it was much bigger 100 years ago, 200 years ago. They don't know what's going on with it, so stand by for that. We're going to be watching that one closely. Okay, what else do we have? Visible satellite passages over the next couple of days. KE5ICX, do you want to cover this?
Oh, I got bad news for you. I got nothing for you because all the passes are very about 20 degrees or lower in the sky. So they're very low passes. Let's see. Can I vamp for time? Maybe. Let's see. You can go to heavens-above.com. You get information on satellite passes, both visible and those that you cannot see. Of course, amateur radio satellites are included in all of that. One of the things you can do is go ahead and sign up. Go to heavens-above.com and add your longitude or latitude. There's a new thing there. I can't remember what it's called, but they are using words to locate you. It's 3 words, random words, that have been put together, and they list your exact location. Pretty interesting. Those are English words, I believe. All of them are so far. You use these 3 words, they're like passwords, and you can go ahead and plug them into Heavens Above, and it will give you exactly your location. This is new, I think, in the last week. I hadn't even seen this before. Now, one of the things about heavens-above.com is that it provides tons of information on all satellites that happen to pass over our line of sight. The great thing about it is that you can put in your coordinates or the 3 words, as it turns out now, and be able to pull all this information. You can do it for amateur radio satellites, certainly, which is fantastic. You don't need any program to, download or otherwise put any of that in. It's all calculated on the website. And the great thing also is that they typically will go ahead and put new satellite information up. Now, the thing about it is you got to have satellite information that you can actually see in the sky or otherwise track if you're interested in that. So it's important that you realize, let me see, I'm vamping here, that you realize that this information is only available if you have dark enough skies to see them should that occur. Does this all mean in the scheme of things? I have no idea, because I'm just vamping right now. But in the end, we can all look to the skies and know that heavens above is available for us to find important information about transits across the sky. Except this week, where there weren't any transits across the sky that were above 20 degrees. So, back to net control. This is KE5ICX.
Alrighty, well, we're going to start winding down. Do we have any more check-ins?
This is K5LOD.
Sorry, I keyed the mic over you. Please come back with your call sign.
This is K5LOD, Kilo 5 Lima Oscar Delta, Mark in Frisco. I'm calling from the Frisco Starfest.
K5LOD, Mark, you're calling from where?
I'm calling from the Frisco Starfest. I'm a member of Texas Astronomical Society, and I'm the leader of the Frisco Starfest. And this is the first time I've ever had a check-in with Skynet, and I'm doing it on Echolink, which I've never used on my cell phone before, so it's a little bit kludgy, but we'll try to make it work. We just had a crowd of about 250 people. It's starting to wind down now, but we had a great night looking at Jupiter and Saturn.
Thanks for that report, Mark. That is fabulous to have so many people out there, and boy, that is very exciting. Well, I'll hope you'll give us another report in the future, and I hope you all have a good time out there. All right, tonight we had 20 hams participating on the air. I want to thank for everybody who checked in. We hope you'll join us here next week and every Saturday night at 9 p.m. to discuss astronomy, space, and space exploration. On this net, the sky is never the limit. We're always looking for net control stations for this and all other DARC nets. If you'd like to try your hand at this, contact any of the net controls by sending an email to neds@w5fc.org. You can follow topics and discussions on this net and astronomy in general on Facebook and Twitter, as well as our audio and video streams, video archives, and other useful internet resources by going to w5fc.org at the conclusion of this net. Until next Saturday night, this is WV50ZL, Brenda, and we'll be closing the net at 10:25 and returning the repeater to normal amateur use. We're going to take a 5-minute break and come back here for our Afterglow movie discussion. So stick around for that. So to everybody, and enjoy the evening discovering the universe.
optimal state. Completely operational, and all my circuits are functioning perfectly. Afterglow movie net. All right, it's been 5 minutes. This is KE5ICX. We have the Afterglow movie net starting now. Copyright. Fine film is War of the Planets. It's an Italian film that I cannot pronounce. The Diaphanoids Come from Mars is the 1965, actually 66, Italian science fiction film produced by Joseph Fried and Antonio Maratti, directed by Maratti, that stars Tony Russell and Lisa Gastoni. Russell's name is misspelled in the opening credits as Tony Russell. Film was released theatrically in 1966 throughout Europe. Storyline and screenplay were written by Ivan Reiner and Renato Monti. In case you're wondering, this is the second film in the Gamma 1 series and follows Wild Planet, the Criminales Calasa, Criminals of the Galaxy, and precedes War Between the Planets, a.k.a. Il Planeta Errante, Planet on the Prowl, and Snow Devils, La Muerte Viene del Piante Ante, Death Comes from the Planet Aiton. This is KE5ICX, and I'm sorry my Italian is worse than my English, but not by much. Here's the plot. On New Year's Eve, in the middle of the 21st century, 2050, I think, Alpha 2 reports impossible negative radiation readings and loses contact with the United Democracies, UD, headquarters. Captain Tice and his crew are sent to investigate. They find the Alpha 2 crew immobilized with some dead before coming under attack. I think it's with some dead people before coming under attack by green glowing energy beings. The creatures immobilize Tice's crew and the space station disappears. On Space Station Gamma 1, Commander Halstead sends spaceships to investigate the remaining space stations and evacuates all but the skeleton crew. Earth, meanwhile, the creatures have possessed Captain Dubois and use him to break into the Institute of Advanced Sciences nuclear reactor. The possessed Dubois sends the UD a message offering symbiotic partnership, quote, for the good of the whole. As the energy beings seize the space stations and surround the Earth, Dubois relays their demands. Halstead and his crew are taken to Mars, where they find the missing stations and the alien base of the automated uranium mine. Exploring, they discover the corpses of several Delta 2 crewmen. All right, I'm going to tell you something. This isn't anything of what I saw. I am not sure why, but the title and this film do not match up one darn bit. So I'm going to stop now because I don't know what I saw. Maybe you know what you saw. Who saw, news saw. Let's call the whole thing off. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. This is not what I saw. So, this is KE5ICX. I am net control of tonight's War of the Planets Navy from 1966 film. In case you are confused, as I am about this film, and the synopsis I just gave, that's okay. I will take check-ins now. If you thought you saw this film or something like it, then, or not, it's okay. Please come with your call sign, phonetically your name and where you're transmitting from. This could be very interesting because I'm not sure where to go from here. Please come with your call sign, name, where you're transmitting from.
November 5, Bravo, Bravo.
Dill, Irving.
KG5P, Mike Richardson. Yeah, I saw this film or something like it, or not.
November 5, Hotel Yankee Papa, Tom and Irving. Boy, I'm not sure what I saw, but I saw something, so we'll talk about it.
November Tango 5, Tango Mike, Tony, Portable in Dallas. I saw part of the movie, maybe. I'll probably just do it. NT5 PM.
Oh, Foxtrot 5, Tango 0 Kilo, Rural in Dallas. I saw a movie. I'm not sure which one I saw.
Whiskey Bravo 5, Oscar Zulu Lima. Name is Brenda. I did see him. Well, no, this wasn't a movie. This was an educational film about 60s hairstyles. And I can tell you about that, having suffered through them myself.
All right, there was a long squelch trail there, but not to be completely unexpected. I got N5BB Bill in Irving. He didn't say whether he saw it or not, but I'm not sure if anybody saw it or not. But I've got him down as checked in. KG5P Mike Richardson. Yeah, he saw something. N5HYP Tom in Irving. He's back. He saw something. NT5TM Tony and Dow. He saw something. KF5TSK, Burrow in Dallas, he saw something. WB5OZL, Brenda in DeSoto, she saw something. Additional check-ins, please come now with your call sign. You can do phonetically, your name, where you're transmitting from. Did you see War of the Planets or something?
Whiskey Tango 9er, Victor, Michael, and Plano. And I can neither confirm nor deny that I saw something. You're not gonna, you're not gonna tie me down on this one. Not gonna happen.
The long squelch tail, my phantom power came unplugged. Whiskey 5, Echo Bravo Bravo, David in Dallas. I saw about the first 10 minutes of the movie, but quickly realized there's about 100,000 other movies that would be more edifying, so I will be listen only.
This is Kilo Golf 5, Bravo Zulu Whiskey, Jay near Weatherford on Echolink, and I saw War Between the Planets in the 1966 movie that might add some clarification. KG5BGW.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Papa Delta Sierra, Billy in Sherman. I also saw War Between the Planets, not War of the Planets. So I think that's the confusion, is there are two 1966 movies with very similar titles, just a different preposition, sounds like. So I watched War Between the Planets starring Jack Stewart and Amber Collins, not War of the Planets. So I think tonight will be very interesting. KFI PDS, back to net.
Thank goodness I'm not insane. Well, yes, I am. But let's see. WT9, Vic, Victor. That would be Michael in Plano. He, yes or no, saw the movie. W5EBB, David in Dallas. Yes, no, he saw the movie. He's saying no. DG5BZWJ near Weatherford. And he did see the movie. KF5PDS, Miss Billy. Oh, thank you. War Between the Planets. Yep, you saw it. I think that's what I saw, too, because I couldn't figure out what the heck I was reading. Got it. Okay, War Between the Planets. I read you the wrong synopses. So, let's do this. Oh, let me just see if there's any additional check-ins. War Between the Planets, not War of the Planets. War Between the Planets, that's the one we're talking about. That fine 1966 film about War Between the Planets. If you saw that film, or you would like to talk about it, please come now.
BB, just confirming, I did see the War Between the Planets, the ones with the antimatter explosion at the end, inside BB.
That is the film that I saw. Yes, War Between the Planets with antimatter, or as it's sometimes called, Does It Matter, with the explosion. Yes, that's the film we're talking about. Any additional check-ins before we go back to the top of the list and we discuss antimatter, Does It Matter? All right. 1966, two movies, almost the same. N5BB, Bill, help me here. What did you think of the plot for War Between the Planets, where antimatter is used to destroy stuff? Go ahead, N5BB from KE5ICX.
Oh, this is N5BB. Well, I don't know about it being war. It didn't seem like a planet. It seemed like a big asteroid thing. And then at some point, suddenly, they were landing on this apparently living object with arteries and valves, and it was breathing out into space, causing wind, all of which made no sense at all. And they didn't explain any of that. It just suddenly changed. So what I saw was them throwing things at you. It's like the plot just kind of jumped at some point from them looking at this rogue object that seemed to mysteriously affect the Earth, to suddenly landing on some living object and messing with it, and that wasn't explained. The subplots were bad. There was the love triangle that was poorly put together. There was the bullheaded, anybody in a position of power was bullheaded, okay? And then there was the good-looking astronaut that was going to go over and save the world that ignored all the commands. Horrible plot. I'm sorry. All the bad science fiction plots kind of mishmashed together. And it was far too long. I understand David just giving up. Back around 45 minutes Starting around 45 minutes, there was 30 minutes of mindless stuff, action for no reason. So the whole film could have probably been finished in about 20 minutes. That's my synopsis in 5EB. And they had teletypes.
Well, thank you for saved it. They had teletypes. Riddy. Yes, Riddy, which was the main theme this week. Lots of teletype. KG5P, Mike and Richardson. Hopefully you saw between and not of. War between the planets, or something like that. I know you've got detailed notes. Go ahead, from KE5ICX.
Yeah, Tom, KG5P. Yeah, I did do detailed notes. In fact, I watched this movie twice, just to make sure I would be edified, and I wasn't. The really sad thing about this movie was they tried to be serious. I mean, this could have been a parody, but it was a parody by accident. It's full of all kinds of weird stuff. Like, for instance, Star Trek came out about 1965, and they didn't have a clue to what antimatter was, but they saw it on Star Trek. They thought they'd make that part of the movie. In fact, most of the dialogue was just nonsense. It made no sense. It was just scientific double talk. And you don't have to put scientific double talk to make a science fiction movie. You can use real science. That's okay. Antimatter and all that nuclear polonium and stuff. Now, I grew up during that time frame. I'm not afraid to admit. And when they had the space launch missions, the Mercury and all that, we get Walter Cronkite on there, and he gave this big explanation of what we were going to see. And when the countdown was going properly, he would say, well, okay, when it's going properly, you're going to hear all conditions are go. Conditions are go. And then the next launch, 6 months or a year later, he'd come on and they'd say, okay, what we're going to hear this time when the launch is progressing is we're going to hear all conditions are green. And then next year when they had another launch, they said what you're going to hear is conditions are A-OK. In fact, I'm from Denver, and there was a car dealer in Denver, Red White Chevrolet, and they had a jingle they play on the radio stations, and it was something to the effect of everything is A-OK at Red White Chevrolet. I don't know if they're still there anymore or not. Maybe they were okay. But this movie tried to get all these things and just combine them all into the same movie. And even when they did use this terminology, it would just be like for one launch, and then the next launch they do something else. Okay, that teletype machine, that was kind of annoying, clanking away in the back. They knew about antimatter, and they were out in space and stuff. And they still had this 1930 communications technology. 15 teletypes. Another thing that was kind of amusing was that spinning thing that was going around, sitting there on the desk inside of the and was a direction finder from World War II. And I'd seen those before, and I looked it up on eBay, and sure enough, you can still buy them. But it's a direction finder. You don't spin it. It doesn't spin around. I mean, it does, but not the way that they were doing it. So here's this thing spinning around. Just nonsense. I mean, it's like they bought World War II military equipment, and that was what they used for their scientific gobbledygook nonsense. And no flat screen TVs. Geez, they were still using criminal CRTs. They got all this other technology, but they're still watching regular RCA 27-inch TVs. Made no sense whatsoever. They were out in space, and obviously they were held up by some kind of an invisible wire. No, I didn't see the wire, and it would have been okay if I did. But they were swimming, like, I couldn't either tell they were either doing the breaststroke or the Australian crawl. And then they'd go backwards and stuff. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, this whole movie was just dismal. They could have made a good parody out of it if they had the right writers. Back to that, this is KG5P.
All right, thank you, Mike. This is KE5ICX. We are talking about war between the planets from 1966. I think it personally would have made a great musical. In N5HYP, Tom and Company over in Irving, you saw this fine film. What did you think of it, you and the posse from KE5ICX? Tom ran off. I will check on him later. Tom, come back. Yeah, you and Lassie. ND5TM, Tony, your thoughts on this film? Go ahead. KE5ICX.
Well, thank you, Tom. I'll probably switch to listen mode after this round. I think Mike gave a great catalog of absurdities. Like David W5EBB, I could only make it a little way into the movie. I think I got to about 35 or so minutes. And then I thought that watching the wind blow through the trees would be a better use of anyone's time, really. But I was especially struck by, yes, the needless complexities of the plot with the love triangle. The swimming in space, the astronauts really did make swimming motions to move in outer space. It was amazing. It was stupid. It was amazingly dumb. Yeah, not much to say. NT5TM. N5HYP.
Oh, fine. Tony makes great comments, very in-depth, deep comments, deep thoughts on this film, and then Tom decides to come in afterwards and tail in on the conversation. N5HYP. By the way, thank you, Tony, for your comments, and run away quickly. N5HYP. Tom, your comments from KE5ICX.
Oh boy, this is N5HYP. Do I agree that this was an amazingly absurd and astronomically huge disaster of a movie? I don't know what they were trying to do, but it was funny when they first kind of saw this object and it started spewing out gas. I thought, space farts. And I was right, because it was a living creature kind of, I guess, and it was putting out gas. Who knows what it had eaten earlier in the evening. There was just so many things that were just so bizarrely wrong. It had no science. It was all fiction.
and it was bad fiction as a result. There was needless controversy, needless love triangles, as Tony said. There was no physics that made any sense whatsoever, and the rockets looked like basically flamethrowers in space. Yikes. Back to net from N5HYP.
All right, thank you, Tom. And yeah, I don't disagree with you. In 1965, Lost in Space came out on television, and L.B. Abbott had come up with some beautiful special effects for that TV program on a, well, at the time was the most expensive budget, but it looked way better than this thing did, and it had say what you may about the series itself, because it went from A to Z, from 0 to 10 and back again all through that time, but that thing looked visually fantastic. This series didn't quite have, or this series, which actually was, there were 3 movies done, didn't even approach that, and that is not exactly, I would say, is the best of things ever. Okay, KFI-TSK Burl, you saw this fine film? Fine film. What did you think about it, plot-wise, from KE5ICX?
TSK. Well, I think we should stop calling it a movie because it really wasn't a movie. The thing that got me so outrageous was when they were on the asteroid, they were going to cut the veins of this creature, and they all had hatchets. It's like, there's no trees in outer space. Why would you carry a hatchet? Then it was like, it was all military, and I'm in charge, and, everyone was so serious. Why wasn't I told about this when it happened? That was 2 hours ago, 2 days ago. Why didn't anyone tell me? When they're in space, they're talking about, well, we're going to dock on automatic. You look at everything, and all they had was gauges, analog gauges, and the teletype. We're going to send messages, maybe in the clear and maybe coded. Who were they hiding it from? It's like, we don't want people to even see the news. It's too outrageous for them to look at. You have rockets with fins or canards. They were always in space, so why would you need those kind of things? When they're on the asteroid, supposedly there was no oxygen, but we can switch helmets, and we can make everything work by just switching helmets.
Burrow, you were going to talk about switching the helmets and how that was, artistically and technically correct. You stopped, and did you run away? Please explain that, because, quite honestly, I didn't figure it out. Just saying. KE5ICX.
This is KE5TSK. Supposedly there was a detonator in one of the helmets, and that's why they switched helmets to, but it was, the thing was, we have to hurry up and hook the oxygen back up, and, space is supposedly a vacuum, so if you unhook your oxygen, it's not that you couldn't breathe, like being underwater. It's like it would just suck all of the air out of you. K5T, escape back to net.
Well, thank you for all you explained the missing part of the helmet thing, because I wasn't really sure. But I wasn't paying a lot of attention either. And you took notes and did spell check. I think that's fantastic, and I appreciate that. Probably not more than I should, but I'll take it for what it is. WB5OZL, Miss Brenda, your comments on war between the planets.
This is W5OZL. Well, I know why they switched helmets, because that's what girls do. They go in the bathroom, and they switch out pieces of clothing and jewelry and stuff, just because it's fun. And boys will say, what are they doing in there? They're taking so long. Well, that's one of the things. So you guys just don't get it. And I don't know why the helmets didn't crush that redhead's beautiful hair. I can tell you from experience, to have hair like that, you're going to have somebody standing by, fluffing and puffing constantly. Not a practical hairdo. Costumes aren't bad. Hair was good. I didn't notice whether there was music. Let me see. It had a cool title. The little spaceship. I didn't understand why the spaceships were flying in formation. I mean, I understand that here on Earth while we fly planes in formation. I wasn't sure why they had to. But that may be some kind of war strategy. Let's see. This movie hurt me. That's all I can say. It's like, this is really painful to watch. It's like, I won't watch a movie where they hurt animals or really bad things happen. And that's kind of the way I felt about this. It's like, I feel hurt. I want my money back. Back to that, W5OZL.
Hi, Brenda. Well, all I can tell you is if you want your money back from 1966, it would be worth from the movie theater that you saw this in. Let's calculate this out. Net present value to future value, $20 billion. That's it. I got it right here, and 3 cents. So that tells you a lot right there. Will you get the reparations back from this Italian film? No, you won't. But Michael, WT9V, he has the answer to all of this. Michael, you're up.
No idea who you're talking about, because I got no answers about nothing as far as this thing goes. Commentary? I might have commentary if we're lucky. As far as commentary on some of the things people have brought up. Number one, they were swimming in space because there was a wind. Remember? There's wind in space. I think it was coming from the farts from the planetoid thing. I was thinking about the thing about the hatchets while watching it. I mean, of all the things I would pack in my space kit, hatchet would not be on the list. There's a lot of other things I would put on the list, but not hatchets. So I don't know what they were thinking. And I thought they said there was air inside, a little air, some oxygen, something inside the farty thing, and that's why they didn't, explode when they took their helmets off. But I don't think they had the budget to make people explode anyway. So, and Miss Brenda, I thought that girls switched clothes in bathrooms just to confuse their boyfriends. I don't know. And finally, they were flying in formation so that the wires didn't get tangled up. WT9V.
mind. W5EBB, David? Oh, you're saying, no, I don't want to talk about this movie. David, if you're still there, do you have anything to say about this movie you don't want to talk about? Please go ahead. From KE5ICX.
Well, I would be pleased to comment on the comments. I mean, that's the salient part of this net, right? Sometimes it's more the comments than the movie itself. So I will make a comment about the not having a helmet on in space. There is actually a precedent for that, and I believe that's what I watched in lieu of this, was a couple of episodes of Fireball XL5, the 1962 black and white children's sci-fi series shot in super marionation. You know, the marionettes, you can see the strings, and it's actually, they're cute. The stories are cute. I mean, it's a pretty fun show to watch, and they do not require helmets when they go out in space. Instead, they use oxygen pills. Oxygen pills, that's the answer, and that's probably what they didn't show in this movie, oxygen pills. W5EBB.
Wish I were a spaceman, the fastest guy alive. I'd cross the universe in Fireball XL5, but never mind. KG5BZWJ, near Weatherford, but not in Weatherford. You saw this film. Your comments on the plot, please, sir, from KE5ICX.
This is KG5BZW. Yeah, there's lots of trying going on. I don't know. All I can think of throughout this film is, well, they tried. Oh, they tried to make a giant planetoid. They tried to do a good set. And I don't know that the rooms and all, the sets where the actors acted weren't that bad. The silliness in space, of course, the swimming, and yeah, I saw a number of cables, and it was kind of obvious they were just being hung. But so I almost kind of thought, well, I'm not sure that they even care that much that some of these cables are visible. But anyway, excuse me. Oh gosh, I don't think there was any. I mean, I did keep myself preoccupied while I was watching the film because I knew it was going to be one of those films. So I'm pretty sure the preoccupation with some sort of, I don't know what it was, I was doing some game, I think. I don't think that kept me from do not think that kept me from understanding some of those stuff, because I think I was, again, I'm repeating others to say, they did not explain things. It'd be fine. We've gone through this over and over again on many films. It'd be fine if I'm not sure what conditions it's fine under, but it is fine under certain conditions. But no, it's just one thing after another of stuff that just you like Bill or somebody said, you're just forced in front of you to watch and say, okay, well, that happened. Let me go ahead and reset. Okay. And of course, yeah, the title didn't make much of any sense to the what actually happened in the plot. That giant space protozoa thing. What kind of war I mean, it was not really. Listen, Prozoa having a lunch is a war. I don't know. Of course, I'm just calling it Prozoa just because it just reminded me of stuff going in and outside of a cell, mostly in. And the only way I can figure this even got on our list is that I saw some connections between Star Wars and that it was a very very tenuous. In fact, maybe one or two. Just the fact that there was a big asteroid, moon, whatever thing, and that something was tossed inside of it to make it go boom. Yeah, very, very, very tenuous. But it didn't quite go same way, different way. It just did. Whatever. I don't know. I'm just making up stuff at this point. I'll hand it over. Next person, KG5 BZW.
Jay, I actually totally agree with you on everything you said, even the parts that you didn't say. So, let's move on to KF5PDS. Miss Billy, you saw or between the planets, and not or something with the planet. Your opinion of the plot. KF5PDS from KE5ICX.
Well, thank you, Tom, and good evening, everyone. Yeah, this was quite a schlock fest. Oh, my word. Yeah, the plot was horrible. It was a series of just very badly acted scenes. The plot was, erratic, and it took way too long to get to the point, to show the quote-unquote planet, which was more like a living asteroid. Or maybe the organism infiltrated an asteroid and made it its home, and then just kind of blew itself through space with a series of ejections of material, what they called wind, which we all know wind in space. So it was just really bad. I thought it might go quickly because it was only an hour and 17 minutes, but I was wrong. It was a very long hour and 17 minutes, and I'm like Bill, at 45 minutes, I actually paused it to see how much time was left, thinking that it was close to being over, because to me it felt like it was close to being over, but no, it had like another 30 minutes or so to go. So it was a hard one to tough out, but I watched it, and I thought the models of the city and all that were campy, and to me that was kind of fun. It almost reminded me like a Thunderbirds wannabe, although Thunderbirds is way, way better than this. But it just had that kind of feel to it when you saw like the cities and some of the models. But even those models in the Thunderbirds were way better. Because I love Thunderbirds. But it just took way too long to get to the action, and I'm like Burl. It's like, why would you have a hatchet on you? What did you expect? And when they hacked through like a couple of tubes, just randomly, it looked like strawberry jam oozing out. So it never, showed any form of credibility at all. So I just thought the plot was bad. And it could have been a lot shorter. They could have moved it along and got it done probably in less than an hour. I'm with Bill on that one. Maybe not 20 minutes, but 45 to me seemed like it would have been a good length, 45 minutes. But just like a very, very short film. So I don't know, maybe just the director was trying to cash in on the genre, perhaps, because 1960s were full of good sci-fi, and like Tom mentioned, the Lost in Space is always excellent, and so maybe just the timing of it, trying to get, changing the name to make it more appealing to an American audience, although I think the Italian title the Il Planete Errata, I think is what it was, Erranta or something, was the errant planet, which made it sound like a rogue planet. It made more sense. But then when you come down to it, it wasn't really a planet, rogue planet. It was more like a rogue asteroid just kind of come crashing through, and how it would affect Earth, as far out as it seemed, it seemed to have effects on Earth, but it took so long for them to get there. I'm like, how could this possibly have affected the Earth? So to me, the story was just not plausible, and the acting was just schlocky. So good schlock fest film, but beyond that, I don't feel like there's any other redeeming qualities. So it had some campy things in there. I loved the phones that had the dial pad on the bottom. I remember those. The single handset, although they were using them as cordless, but I remember stuff like that. So it did have some campy attributes, but other than that, really can't mention anything else. So I'll save further comments for next round. This is KF5PDS, back to net.
Miss Billy, and yes, I agree with all of the above, especially about the film and the was it about the film? Oh yeah, it was a film, and it had telephones in it and teletypes. That was really great, all those things, and somehow you managed to go out of this thing. This is KE5ICX. We're talking about Battle Between the Planets. Battle Between the Planets came out in 1966. My comments on this, and I'll ask if there are additional check-ins. There might be, maybe not. This film was incomprehensible to me. I am watching this thing. I'm trying to figure out what the heck is going on. We got the... I think it was there just to create this thing for spaceships flying back and forth. There's no plot. There's really no plot. You've got to do it for an hour and 12, 19 minutes. And you fill in the blanks with blanks. This is a special effects or not so special effects movie looking for a plot, which is typically what we have today. Stories that you've created the special effects and not be able to do anything with it, so you simply rough out the story in order to make the special effects work. I think it's possible the special effects came first and the story came second. Suddenly this makes sense to me, because now you got nothing, man. You got nothing going on. The story, it doesn't make any sense, but if you take spaceships and they're flying off this way, and you go on the planet thing, asteroid, whatever the hell that is, and you knock things out and kill the creature, and now all of a sudden it makes sense. You just fill in the blanks with a story to fit with the special effects. I will tell you something. There was Michael Garrison's. I'm going to do a mic on this one because this one makes sense to me. Is that there was a series called The Wild Wild West. The Wild Wild West was an interesting show that involved, kind of this futuristic steampunk thing going on back in the days of the West. It was called The Wild Wild West, with this extra wild because of all the special effects, special things they did. I think that's exactly what they did here. In that show, what they would do is they would create the mechanical stuff, the thing, the super bullet, the special weapon, the thing under that people would be put under control and all that, and then they'd write a story around it. I think that's exactly what happened here. They wrote a story around whatever special effects they could call forward and put it on a screen that looks halfway credible. And I say halfway. Today, we do the same thing with stories. We create these special effects, but we do it to dazzle everyone and get everybody's money at the box office when they walk in to watch the film. But in reality, the whole thing is look how dazzling everything is and how impressive it is. Don't worry about the story. Well, we know that. That's pretty much what goes on. But this may be the very first, the very beginning of terrible movies. In this case, though, it had bad special effects, too. All right, let me grab my pen. It fell on the ground again, my one writing pen. Does anyone else like to join us this evening who has not checked in? Because I'm at the bottom of the list. Please come down.
This is Kilo Foxtrot 5, Quebec, Delta, Quebec, mobile.
5QDQ, you're back from the Star Party. What did you find? And did you see this film called, what's the name of this film? The War Between the Planets.
Time of the rest of the night. Yes, this is Eric. I am coming back from Frisco Star Party where we shot the moon all night along with Jupiter and Saturn with our mini telescopes and our crowd of about 200 people. It was insane. No, I have not seen the movie. I have no idea what the movie's about, and honestly at this point in time, because I'm literally falling asleep while driving home. So, KF5QDQ back to net.
Eric, I wanted to congratulate you guys. You had 200 people. That's fantastic. We're very happy. I've got bad news for you. This is a terrible movie we saw, and it was seen by less than 200 people in the last 60 years. But I thought I'd mention that. But thanks for checking in. Glad everything worked out. Remember that planets have veins in them, and they're vain too. Okay, well, I'm not sure what to do at this point. We can go to the top of the list and talk about characterization or lack thereof on this film. I probably do have comments myself, but I will wait until everybody else has comments about characterization. M5BB Bill, tell us what you think. If you're still there, well, I think you said you may have been checking out. I don't know. If you're still there, go ahead. If you got characterization, these actors and what they were doing to motivate us in the audience, please go ahead.
BB. No, this is like the Hotel California. You can check in, but you can never leave. No, I'm just going to go through my notes. I did make some notes. I already talked about teletypes. The theme for the week after the DARC meeting. Early in the movie, Commander Jackson was talking to Terry, his girlfriend that was not his intended. So she was his on the spacecraft girlfriend. And she said something about, don't you have any feelings or something? And he said, we operate on facts, not feelings, Lieutenant. I thought that was... oh, that was corny. And then I completely agree with Brenda. Hair hair, amazing hair. 1966, Italy, hair. Oh, man. They had hair. Commander Jackson had amazing hair. They must have hired a small crew of people just to keep his hair shaped like a helmet. Had this Roman helmet look. I tell you, that was a hairstyle. That was amazing. Let's see. Did you notice that at one point the commander got real personal, got really kind of nice with his love interest on the spacecraft, Terry. And the music came on. This really corny, romantic music came on for about 1 minute. And then it went back to the stupid stuff, which was the woo-woo-woo, outer space random music, or no music at all. So that was a very corny use of music. At one point, I thought that the reason it made no sense was a bad translation from Italian. But I then noticed near the end of the movie, they had the plaques for the dead people. They were all in English. So I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it was just horrible dialogue. And maybe some of it was translated from Italian, but it was still horrible dialogue. And they made no effort to make it good. It was horrible. Did you notice that Commander Jackson and Toby, the guy that wanted to go out and be gung-ho, they had this fist fight for no reason, just no reason. And that didn't seem very realistic to me either. Man, if they did have the fight, one or both of them would have been locked up or something. Let's see. Wind in space made no sense. I agreed with Tony. They were waving their arms around in space like they were flying through the wind. Just no sense at all. No sense at all. Did you notice that they had the artificial gravity, and when they turned it off, everybody was floating around? That was pretty corny. And also, did you notice that even before that, when the space station was in normal operation, and they were showing a video of it from a distance, that it was wobbling? Their little model was wobbling, which looked really corny. Helmet swap. I know why they did the helmet swap. You noticed that they had markings on the helmet so they could tell who was who. And this was a backwards causality. So they wanted, near the end of the movie, they wanted the scene where they came up out of the little planetoid thing, and the commander's intended future wife was watching, and she was going to think he was killed in the antimatter explosion. So to do that, they had to swap the helmets. Now, in order to swap the helmets, they had to have somewhere for him to survive and not immediately die. So then they came up with the earlier thing where the planetoid was releasing, it was breathing or something, and releasing oxygen. And they made a comment about that. Oh, we see a little bit of oxygen. Of course, the pressure would have been incredibly low, so he took the helmet off. You know, his blood would have boiled probably, his head would have exploded, but there was some oxygen there. So that was one of these backwards causality things. In order to get that emotional scene at the end where she thought he was dead, they had to swap the helmets. And that's the reason that happened. And then they did the corny thing with the guy that passed away, his son at the end, and the commander was going to take care of the son and all that kind of stuff. Pretty corny, really. Why was Earth affected? What was that thing doing to the Earth, causing all these storms and things? Why was it there? Where did it come from? Nobody knows, and nobody cares. That's all I got, Inside BB.
All right, thank you, Bill. Yeah, why? You ever wonder why? I always wonder why all the time. Let's see. Let's see. KG5B. Mike, you have comments. I have pizza. Go ahead.
KG5B. Yeah, that hair. I haven't seen women having hair like that, but I guess that's what the Wilderness Italians did. Must have had a special rocket ship that brought 55-gallon drums of hairspray or something from Earth. That pompadour he had. Oh, goodness. You know, one thing in the rockets, they were all even from the space station. And they were going out to the Bob planet, see, and there were the spaceships. There were 3 different kinds of spaceships, 3 different designs, or 3 different models or something. And then when they got there, they were all the same. That's some kind of continuity error. On the hatchet business, yeah, they carry the hatchet. They keep the hatchet in their helmet. That's why you never saw it, because they had a special helmet that had a place for a hatchet, and they also had a spare detonator. The anti-gravity or the antimatter thing. Oxygen bottles. You look at those oxygen bottles. I used to scuba dive years ago, and there was this thing they called a spare air, which I thought was kind of a totally useless device. It was just more junk to have to hook to you, but it'd give you like 5 minutes of air. If you ran out of air, you have this little tiny oxygen. It was a compressed air bottle. It would give you 5 minutes of air. Well, they were going out into space, and they had 2 of these spare air bottles on them. That was about it. The one guy that switched the helmet, he said, "Well, you're going to die," and the guy says, "Oh, I don't mind. It's worth it, you know." They gave the stupid woman the. I have no idea, because she was going to stumble and drop it somewhere. She actually looked like she pitched it into the blob pool somewhere, because it kind of went flying through the air like a spiral pass. I think that's all my notes. So let's see. We covered the pompadour, the hairspray, the hatchet. Usually in those type of movies, they usually have a flamethrower. I'm surprised that they didn't have one of those 2. Back in that KG5P.
Thank you, Mike. And you always bring very important notes to a very important movie, which this wasn't. Let's see. Tom, maybe there. N5HYP, your comments on characterization. I got a asterisk after your name. I'm not sure why. Maybe you were naughty or nice. Probably naughty. Tom, N5HYP, any additional comments?
Yes, indeed, I'm here. This is N5HYP. But this will be my last round. We're talking about characters. Everybody was a character. There was just a lot of unnecessary characters in this movie. I personally liked the living asteroid character. I mean, it had lots of personality. Everybody else, forget it. Yeah, there were, again, I'm sure because a lot of times in these movies, come from a different language and a different culture, dropping them into English, or trying to at least, doesn't always work very well. But, I mean, there was so much silliness, it was hard to even take any characters serious because of all the other silliness. But, I mean, it was funny, it was a good laugh. They didn't intend it to be a comedy, but it was. I'm done for tonight. We'll look forward to next week. We'll be back again, I hope. No, we won't be, but I'll be there in spirit. This is N5HYP, back to net.
All right, well, thank you, Tom, and bye-bye, bye, bonds, and go back into your pod and hibernation. But we appreciate you coming out and telling us everything about this film that we wanted and didn't want to know. That's good. I've crossed you off the list. I got a big, across there. Let me continue on. Next up is NT5TM Tony. Your comments on this very important film and its characterization from KE5ICX. Wait, I think he said he was going into the Secret Witness Protection Program. Let me go to KF5TSK.
TSK. Well, one thing I didn't mention before was they had these helmets with the sun visor, and to see what was going on in space, they had to open the door. So if you don't have any windows, why do you have a sun visor? Maybe they had a surplus at the Army-Navy store. As far as characterization, it really went back to kind of stock things like, the military that, Colonel Commander Jackson, you're to address me as commander, and whatever. Notice the hairstyles and the ladies' makeup that, they were really, made up to be going into space, I don't know why you spend time on, mascara and lipstick if, you're going into space. K5TSK, back to net.
Thank you, Burl. Very inspiring words. This is KE5ICX. I'm net control for what should have won some sort of award. War Between the Planets. I think that's the movie we're watching. I will continue on. Brenda, WB5OZL. Please give your synopsis of characterization on this film while I eat my pizza. Go right ahead. From KE5ICX.
This is W5OZL. As far as I could tell, there were only a couple of actors. They all looked alike. And they had different names, but they all seemed like kind of the same person. So maybe I couldn't figure it out, but that's kind of the way it seemed to me. A lot of very trite themes, formulaic, worn out ideas. I will say it's, in a lot of these old movies, they had the women making coffee and making sandwiches. They were very misogynistic. And at least in this one, they had women working, although that one woman was a real bimbo there in the end. I don't know why they even took her along. But boy, they had nice hair. Man, I just don't know. They were all nice looking, I'll say that. Both of them. All right, back to net, WB5OZL.
You were supposed to talk longer. Now I had to gulp my pizza. Let's see. Next up, WT9 Victor. Michael, your comments on characterization from KE5ICX.
Well, I'll try to talk slowly so you can eat your pizza better. And, I'm a little miffed that you didn't think of us and, get Brenda and I pizzas too, because, we would have done that for you, but no, not you. So anyway, back to this, I'm never going to get that hour of my life back. I think the point of the Italian title making more sense might actually be a clue, as the title was mangled and didn't really represent what was in the film. Perhaps the rest of the, and I use this term loosely, dialogue was similarly horribly mangled. I mean, we've probably at this point in time, all of us have bought something inexpensive from China, and we've pulled out the little piece of paper that has words on it that don't actually go together, famously called Chinglish. And the only thing I can think of is that this film was like the first example, and maybe it's what the Chinese have copied. I don't know. Would it be called Italiish or England? I don't know, something. But I'm pretty sure that the entire, script was mangled similarly to the way the title was. That's my guess. I'm also pretty sure that the movie was dubbed, because I tried squinting a few times, and never ever did I see the mouths matching up with the words. So I think the whole thing was dubbed, and somebody who was partaking of all of the recreational pharmaceuticals that were available back in the 60s and popular had been partaking of it when they started, writing the dialogue. And once again, I use the term loosely. And I'm trying to talk as much as I can so that Tom can finish his pizza and not choke on anything, because we all love him. He's our president. Let's see, where was I? I'm writing notes here, and let's see. Oh, yeah. The planetoid, as mentioned, was the best character, but it didn't have the best hair. I think it worked hard, and it did its thing for the movie. And of course, they were all very nice-looking space people because they were Italians, and we all know that Italians are very stylish folks, and they're very, very nice-looking. And they style. Number one, function. It's somewhere on the list. Okay, Tom. In a moment, I'm going to hand it back over to you. So swallow. Do your thing. Take a drink. Get ready. And back to net, WT9V.
Oh, jeez. I don't even know what to say on that. That one. Thank you, Michael. That was wonderful. Your comments will be written down and duly noted in the log. W5EVB, David. Oh, it says no. You may be gone. If you're there, my notes are terrible. If you're not there, don't answer. If you're there, you don't have to answer. If you're there, you can answer. W5EBB.
This is W5EBB. No comments on the character. One comment for special effects, should we get to that. W5EBB.
Yes. I will open it up to comments on any and everything, including the musical part of the show. So I'll be back there in about 3-5 minutes. KG5BZWJ, your comments on characters. Whoops. Lunch is good. Or dinner. KG5BZWJ in Weatherford, your comments on characterization.
This is KG5BZW. Not really. I'm not sure what to say about characters here. I'd say something about the captain, but it just the thought that occurred to me while watching this film was this is like, well, I'm not sure what I mean, I like Star Trek, but this is like like some weird bad parody of Star Trek. That's just what I thought of the captain. So, and just, it's so distracted by so many things that just don't make sense, and we're thrown in the middle, and, you know, how everything. I agree that the Planetoid was probably the best character. I will disagree. Of course, I'm making up stuff here. No. At this point, I can't even disagree with that because that's just my statement is just about as dumb as this film. I was going to make a comment about hair regenerating and repairing itself like the veins. That'd be kind of an interesting phenomena. You can do it with buckyballs, but I don't know. Buckyball is the magnetic tool things, not the actual Buckminster Fuller nanoparticle things. Anyway, whatever. I gotta switch over to the next person. KG5BZW.
I was finishing off my final piece of pizza, but that's okay. You didn't give me a chance to do so, so I had to wolf it down. KFI-PDS, Miss Billy, your comments on characterization on war. I think it's between the planets. I'm pretty sure. KFI-PDS from KE5ICX.
Thank you, Tom. Have some more pizza. Yeah, I don't know. Just the characters are so contrived, and it's stereotypical. But poorly executed. Yeah, the commander was just. Somebody mentioned earlier, how those in command were very. I forget the adjective that was used earlier, but it was spot on. They're just very arrogant and haughty, and I just thought it was silly that the main head general didn't know what was going on for days or weeks at a time, and he's like, why didn't I know about this? And it's just like, how can you be head of an organization and not know what your people are doing? like be totally out of touch, unless that was some social commentary there, but I doubt it. Yeah, I just thought that was silly. The commander was just so overbearing, it was just ridiculous, and he was like berating his female subordinate for not calling him commander, and that whole scene between him and her were just ridiculous. And then there was, a lot of, I don't know, extraneous characters. It seemed like, they just, like, why is this person here? What are they doing? What are they trying to accomplish? And this didn't seem to make sense to me. I did, feel at the end it was sad because two of the men were lost, and the funeral scene at the end to me was touching, and I felt bad for the little boy who lost his dad. But then at the end, it seemed like Commander and his love interest and the little boy were, walking off together. So the love triangle, I guess, lost a vertex, and so those two ended up together. The ending, I felt bad. The little boy, crying kind of, tugs at the heartstrings. So that, to me, was the most meaningful character at the very end. Was the little boy just standing there crying for the loss of his dad was the most believable and touching thing in the whole film. The rest of it seemed very artificial and contrived. So, and I don't know, we're getting ready, probably close to wrapping up, so I'll add the additional comment. It's not a character, but I loved the space cars that they drove up in, the little kind of rocket ship-looking vehicles with the bubble cockpit. I thought those were super cool, and so I'd like to have one of those. So anyway, looking forward to hearing about what we're going to do next week. So I'll throw it back to you. This is KF5PDS, back to net.
Miss Billy, and yes, that's coming up next. I'm going to have an open round here. By the way, I'm watching The Invaders. I think it's one of the final episodes, and they are messing up Apollo Saturn stuff like crazy. At least they got the Zenith TV right. And this is KE5ICX. Let's see. Eric did not see the film. He may be already back in bed and sleeping after 200,000 people came to see the KF5QDQ. Eric, are you still there, or have you departed us? As I suspected, he's got my comments on characterization. Was there any? Not really. The usual stuff that happens, the love triangle thing that was described earlier, and the stilted comments back and forth, and yeah, I love you, but at the same time, you're my commanding officer, I'm your commanding officer, whatever, and bring me coffee or don't. Bring me coffee or bring me death. Well, that actually didn't happen. That was one of the few times it didn't in movies like this. This was part of a trilogy, apparently, so some of the characters already had established relationships, as this was the second of the third. I don't know if I will ever watch the first or the third, probably not. Overall, it was kind of terrible. I thought this is very over-the-top acting with characters doing their thing in such a way that, what is their motivation for their anger? Who knows? What is their motivation for love? Who knows? There's very little with that. It all has to do with strings and space stuff going on and hanging from weightless string fire things. and it's one of those where you go, well, who suggested this movie? I will say, somebody. With that, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Anybody has any comments before we shut it down, and then I will tell you the fine film coming up next. Yes, fine film, FF. Anybody have any comments on anything? Please come with your call sign, and I'll put you on the short list. Please come now.
WT9V.
KG5P. 5EBB.
OSH.
Oh, I got some folks in here. I got WT9V, KG5P, W5EBB, and I got Ross, K5OSH. You're supposed to be in bed. Let me start at the top. WT9V. Go ahead, Michael.
I did have a couple of comments that I made about the I hesitate to use the term special effects, but I thought they were, right from 1940. They were inexplicably bad. Like when the anti-gravity, what is that anyway? It was turned on. Everything wobbled as it went up into the air. Not just up into the air, but it wobbled. Like they'd never heard of, stabilizing strings or something. I don't know. It's just, and especially when compared to Destination Moon that we watched just recently, which was 15 years earlier. See, the special effects, there we go, using that word, on this were just inexcusably bad. That's pretty much all I had. Just, another nail in the coffin. WT9V.
All right, thank you, Michael, and I don't disagree with you one bit. KG5P, Mike, final comments.
Okay, thank you, Tom. My final comment is about 30 seconds into the movie, the general or somebody says he ordered a full-scale search of outer space. I mean, that isn't even, I don't know what to say, it doesn't even justify a comment, but it had to be all downhill from there. That was when this movie jumped the shark. KG5P.
So you're telling me right after the credits, the film lost it. Okay, I don't disagree. All right.
Which one?
W5EBB. Siri is over here telling me what she thought. Okay. No, I don't want to hear about the next 5 movies. David, go ahead.
If you want to be entertained by Alexa, you can ask her to start the self-destruct countdown. Her reply is rather funny. I think she's a little more witty than Siri. Near the beginning of the movie, it kind of got errant on me on a technical point as well. The spinning space station or spacecraft, they go out to rescue an errant astronaut who's heading towards the Earth or the sun, in a free fall, so to speak. And they chain themselves up, the other astronauts, to rescue him through a line that they all connect themselves with. And I guess they put a grapple or some other hook on a latch on the space station. Now, the space station is spinning. Why aren't the astronauts spinning as well? That was kind of glazed over, unless I saw that incorrectly. Newton's, laws of mechanics are pretty simple, and they couldn't even get that right. W5EBB.
This case you might be with a comment to that.
Hi, Michael. 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 I call you Mike. Go ahead. I think I'm falling asleep.
Well, we had some other people there, so why don't you put me at the end so I don't steal everybody's thunder. KG5P.
We have an afterglow after this. It's after, so be ready. K5OSH, Ross. Welcome. What you got for us this evening? It's good to hear from you. From KE5ICX.
Okay, well, more was to say hi to you and bye for the guys. I haven't been listening long. I watched the Cowboy game. They lost their first preseason a little while ago. So at any rate, Happy New Year, K5OSH.
All right, Russ. It's good to hear from you. I've thought about you a lot, and we missed you tonight. I know you had short time over on TechNet, but one of these days we got to do lunch. Got new job, new things going on, so I don't have my daytime usual liberties that I've been able to do in the past. But at some point we'll get together and have lunch sometime. It's good to hear from you. I miss you, man. It's good to know you're out there and you're doing stuff. This is KE5ICX. Let's see. I guess I'm not control, but we're pretty much done. Does anybody have any final comments? And I'll tell you, I'll reveal next week's movie. Any final comments? Go ahead.
I still have one more comment if you want to hear it.
Go ahead.
Okay, it's KG5P. Well, one thing that bothered me was they cut off the gravity to the space station, and then they had astronauts working outside. Oh, we just forgot about them. I guess they're going to float away. Stop now before I think of something else. KG5P.
W5FC.
Well, that's okay, Mike. I got to tell you something. It's really interesting. When we talk about movies, you think somehow or another certain movies are going to have, it's going to go on for ever, and then other movies you go, it'll last 5 minutes. This one should have been like a 5-minute movie, and we've gone over the regular time. So I don't know what that means in the scheme of things. It may mean that there's something wrong with us. I don't know. Okay, next week's movie, I don't know. I've never seen it. We're going comedy. My Science Project from 1985. I don't know if this thing is any good or not. That'll be next Saturday. And then after that, another comedy. This was recommended by more than one person way back when, The Coneheads from 1993. I know these are but they're science fiction comedy. So SFC. My Science Project 1985 next week. This is KE5ICX. I will be clear, this concludes tonight's emergency broadcast movie. Bye-bye. KE5ICX. I'm clear. Unless you got comments afterwards, I'll probably be here.
Well, I think you had it right, Tom. This would have been better as a musical. KG5P clear.
Keep you up for a while.
I do fall asleep in my own net, so, and probably did tonight too.
I didn't see you fall out of your chair this time, so that's good. That's a plus.
Tell me about it. Well, in any case, it was interesting. This was a terrible movie. There's no doubt about it. And I was reading halfway through the beginning of the thing and realized that this wasn't the movie. But it took me like 4 paragraphs to realize this wasn't the movie. These are not the movie. This is not the movie we were looking for.
That was particularly good. I liked that, and also, I have to admit, I was very confused when you were reading that.
Anyway, no, I did not work for Braniff Airlines. But, yeah, so hallucinations happen all the time. I think, who is that over there?
Very large rabbit.
Yes, indeed. Oh, yes. Well, so, let's see. I am falling asleep, but, thank you for coming to the meeting on Tuesday. Was it everything you thought it would be?
More.
Didn't win a flashlight, though.
I'm still devastated about that. I'm also still devastated about not winning the cap, because, I could use a cap.
This is W5FC. I guess this is not a net anymore. This is just people talking all over each other. We have more flashlights and more caps. So if you keep coming to the meeting, eventually you will win those.
Everybody else will keep going, no, that's not my ticket. Nope, I'm not here tonight. Nope.
Yepper. Or like somebody sitting next to you or a friend or somebody will say, oh, I already have one. I'll give it to Michael.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Now, I don't have a flashlight yet. I have to win one first and then win a second one before I'll give one to you.
See how I rank. Okay, good. As long as I'm clear on this.
Oh, what'd you do? Would you give away the first flashlight that you won?
How many flashlights I've got around here? I just might.
Flashlights are like currency. You can't have too many.
Saying, or is that flashlights in this club are like cigarettes in jail?
Yeah. Or something.
Freeze me.
Everybody does love flashlights. What they don't like is multimeters.
Yourself, lady.
I used to include a multimeter in this bunch, in the box every time because Harbor Freight used to give them away for free. They don't anymore. They have very few free things, but you can get a free multimeter. And people just didn't want it. It's like a hot potato.
Like good multimeters, and Harbor Freight isn't really good anything. I mean, in many cases it's adequate something, but I wouldn't call it good.
I love Harbor Freight.
I'm not dissing Harbor Freight. Also, Tom's laughing at us. I don't know if you've noticed this.
Oh, yes, I've noticed. Yeah, well, we have to buy this stuff. We have a very tight budget, so I go to Harbor Freight and use the coupons, and that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. Although, recently came into a stash of a little messy items to give away, so, we'll see more of that. And we always give away a cap, so sooner or later, your number's coming up.
Yeah, I was in need of something to lift my pinball machine and move it around, and ended up going down to Harbor Freight and getting one of those very cheap lift tables, because that would work, and it didn't work. I had to take it back and get another one.
Yeah, but that's what you call a waste of time.
It works. It still works. I have to admit that, and it moves the freaking pinball machine around. Those things are heavy.
W5FC.
Pinball machine.